Hey everyone, my name is Jimmy Smith and welcome to episode number 74 of the Rambler podcast, where we are passionate about sharing what makes Cathedral Prep the standard of excellence. And today we are real happy to have Jacob Thomas on as a guest. Jacob graduated from Cathedral Prep in 1999, and he also attended Our Lady's Christian Grade School. After attending Edinburgh University, he went on to find his passion in the tree care industry, starting in 2003 and launching J. Thomas Tree Service in 2006. Now a certified arborist with the International Society of Arboriculture and certified tree care safety professional, Jacob has built a thriving business dedicated to keeping Erie's landscape healthy and strong. Beyond his work, Jacob is married to his wife Lisa, a Villa Maria Academy alumna from the class of 1999, and a proud father to 3 kids, Miles, Quinn, and Bo. Jacob, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and it was fun. Just before we went into recording this, we're in my office here at Prep. Got you a tour of the school, which you hadn't seen in some time.
That was pretty cool. It's pretty impressive to see, and quite a difference. I mean, what a difference.
Yeah.
Definitely times have changed.
I always appreciate you were pointing out the architecture inside to see the old building and the new spaces.
Yep, that's pretty cool. I like to see all that. It's just it's good to see the old with the new, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It's always fun to do the tours because there's so many elements of it that look just like when you and I were there.
Yes.
And then there's other places you kind of get confused for a minute of where am I standing?
Yeah, I definitely felt that way a little bit today. But yeah, it's definitely cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to see.
Yeah.
Everything's got to move on and upward. So
that's right.
It's good to see the still thriving, I guess you could say.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the stories you shared with me through our walk, we can't share on the podcast, but there was good times you had here.
Yeah, we had some good times here. It was a fun environment, a lot of camaraderie, and I wouldn't give it away for anything. So it was a lot of good fun.
That's awesome. Well, it was cool recollecting with you. It was funny. We'd walk in certain spots, and you'd be like, "Oh, I remember that happened there, and this happened there." But I guess to kind of start and jump off on this conversation, even kind of dating back to before you were at Prep, why did you decide to attend Cathedral Prep? What was that decision like for you?
Sure. So first and foremost, I was just fortunate enough to have a family that could send me to Prep. So for that, you can't. That was. I was fortunate enough to be able to come here. Then on top of that, I had a lot of friends, that came here. So it was just kind of a natural progression to come here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And having gone to LC, we mentioned people that you grew up with that you're still connected with today, like TJ Richter, Rob Doyle, some of those guys who were a couple years behind you at Prep, but you grew up with through OLC and whatnot. So it's funny how a lot of those connections that we have in grade school lead to our time here at Prep and then lifelong. Right?
Yeah, and now you still see them to this day, and you work with them today even. So it's interesting, it's fun, and again, that camaraderie goes a long way.
Yeah.
So.
What are some of your favorite memories? When you look back on your time at Prep, the sanctioned ones, the ones that you can talk about on the podcast. If anybody wants the other stories, contact Jacob directly and he'll tell you. But the ones you can share on the podcast,
I've used the word already a couple of times. The camaraderie here was fantastic. I wouldn't want to have it any other way. Not having. I know it's different now, but not having girls back in the day, you're able to be more yourself, I think, in a little bit. You didn't have to impress anybody. The teachers, the spirit of the school, all that just all plays in your memories. It was a long time ago, and it's hard to think about all the specifics, but if you just walking through here today, it started to spark some of it. So that was kind of cool. But again, it's just the school spirit, the camaraderie, it was huge. Yeah, it lives in you today.
I know you were talking about some of the rallies and some of the funny stories from that, but those are always some of the things that I never pinpointed either to a specific moment, but those are some of the memories for me. I remember the rallies vividly, and
I remember when they were doing the smashing of the cars outside. The one year, they were doing the bowling balls in the cars and stuff. That was always fun. And, the cafeteria lunches underneath underneath the church were always interesting. And
And we were talking about Frank Cirillo's
Oh yeah,
infamous lunches. Yeah.
I like where your head's at with where you're going with that too.
I know. Stay tuned. A little plug. Anybody listening who's a prep alum who knows Frank Cirillo's lunches.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Might have something in store soon.
That's right. That's what I like to hear.
And you were mentioning teachers. Were there any teachers who really made an impact or difference for you during your time at prep?
Father Larry was probably one of my bigger ones. He's still, a supporter of me today.
That's cool.
We've done work from at his house, and you see him around the community, and you get to catch up with him a little bit. And Mr. Wenrick was a huge part of my 4 years here. He was always very nice to me and just very helpful. That's all I can really think of at the moment. But yeah, those two really stick out in my mind.
Yeah. It's one of the things that makes the place special, right? Is having those teachers, and it's like I think of Tony Del Rio.
I was going to say, it's the one I was going to say, but I think he had everybody. I think he had an impact on everybody here at one point or another, whether good or bad.
That's exactly what I was going to say, whether good or bad. You were impacted by Tony Del Rio.
Yeah, oh yeah. The infamous book to the bottom of the desk sticks out in my mind a little bit. So, but no, he was. I think he impacted everybody in the school one way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so. And there's so many great people like him who were at the school for so long that you could have been here in the 70s or 80s or the early 2000s and still have those same teachers that were walking the halls.
Mr. Shar.
Yes.
Mr. Shar is a legend.
Yeah.
Just a legend in the school.
It's amazing.
I could still see him just walking down the halls. He was a big guy. And,
just
a big guy. And, he always had a presence.
Yeah.
He always made you laugh.
Yeah.
He always had that way of taking people's whatever was going on in their lives and turning it into a positive, funny, twist.
Oh yeah.
So he was good too.
Yeah, he was great.
I could probably keep going.
And one of the things that was funny, and we'll start to talk a little bit more about what you do for your career now and your business and the success you've had. We're up on the third floor. That space is the Project Commons, where I was telling you about the pathway programs that we have at Prep. Mm-hmm. So if a student wants to be in the Med Path program, Business Path, STEM Path, or Civics Path, they can be here at Prep and pursue one of those and learn about the different careers within those. And then you were joking about what you ended up doing as your career, and you're like, most kids in this age probably wouldn't even think about doing what I do.
Right.
So my question to lead into that is, how'd you end up getting into the tree care industry? And
sure.
When did you know that? Did you have a specific moment, or when did you kind of figure out this was the path you wanted to go down?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I left Edinburgh, after a couple of years, I came back into the Erie area, and I was bartending in a bar back in the normal early teens, early 20s, I should say. Things you do. Yeah. And multiple odd jobs. And a buddy of mine was working for a company out of Harbor Creek, and so they were looking for basically part-time work, and at the time it was perfect for me. I was kind of somewhat of a workaholic, finding whatever I could, and I just decided to go do it, and just ended up falling in love with the industry, falling in love with everything about it, the creativity of it, the toughness of it. It was kind of one of those jobs that just not a lot of people could actually do. Yeah, you had to have quite a mindset for it, to go 60, 100 foot up in the air with a chainsaw swinging around from a saddle isn't necessarily something everybody wants to do every day, right?
Definitely not.
So, it takes a certain person, and again, I did fall in love with it, and it just evolved. Yeah. Evolved.
So you kind of found that passion, love for it, working for someone doing that, but then you went on to start your own business in this industry. Yeah. Talk to me about what that was like, taking the jump to then not just being the guy working for somebody, but now starting your own business doing it. Yeah, so I,
for a while, I worked with the SBDC, Small Business Development Center at Gannon, and with some family support. I kind of created my own path into the industry, and I started off with a small S10 truck, a 16-foot trailer, and a couple chainsaws, and minor advertising, and away I went. Yeah. You got to start somewhere, right? Yeah. So, and over years, it just kind of just stepped up and grew. And I had, a lot of mentors along the way that helped. And, I can't be happier enough to have those people in my lives that helped me get to this point today.
Yeah. So obviously with starting your own business, there's a lot that goes into it, and you were obviously, just still young in the industry as a whole. And but as I mentioned in your bio, now you've gone on to get certified in different ways in your industry. Can you talk about what those mean in terms of the certifications you've received and why those were important for you to get for the type of business you have?
Absolutely. So when I went into this business, I did notice there was a lot of competition. And I noticed that there was a lack for the actual arboricultural side of the business in our area. So my company is based on the arborist programs. Okay. So we have a mindset of going into, if we're going to come trim your tree, we're not going to just come take a bunch of limbs off for no reason. We're coming in with a rhyme and reason of why we're doing that. And the ISA, International Society of Arboriculture, is the only governing body in the world to make you a true certified arborist. So you have to have 3 years in the industry experience just to become an arborist. So I went through their program solely. I did it with a couple other guys at the time that were working for me. And we just went through their process, and it helped us become well educated, in the arboriculture part of the tree care industry. There's tree cutters and there's arborists. All right. So we're all about preservation first. We're not tree huggers, but we also understand, the trees need to be removed. But ultimately, trees are important. Trees are important to your landscape. Trees are important to the air. You need them to clean the air, So, there's all certain reasons why trees are important. So we're always trying to convince people to keep trees and, educate them on their own properties, educate them on the value of the trees on their properties. And, hopefully that lasts into a long-time customer, In regards to like the CTSP, the Certified Tree Care Safety Professional, that's through the Tree Care Industry Association, which is the TCIA in short. And what that does for me is it helps me introduce a culture of safety within my own company, and I'm also allowed to teach safety within the industry. So, two things in tree work, right? There's the tree work of it, but there's also the safety aspect of it. And it's a very dangerous business. So, safety is huge on my end. I mean, we go through it every week. We have signed documented meetings. We have tailgate safeties. We have hour-long meetings every Thursdays usually before we go out in the field. It just never ends. So all that stuff to me is very important because I want to keep my guys safe. I want to keep, people's property safe, so on and so forth. So
when you were even mentioning in the beginning there that you're more about preservation than just going to cut down trees.
Correct.
That's funny. I mean, I guess I never really thought about that. When I hear J. Thomas Tree Service, I'm just thinking you guys come in and remove trees. There's a lot more of it that you guys you're responsible for and you take pride in too, right?
Yeah, we actually do more tree pruning than we do removals within our company. So
interesting.
Yeah. You wouldn't think that.
No, not necessarily. I guess, and that's why having you on the podcast is great to learn more about your industry and what you do. And, the different certifications you just went over probably add a lot of credibility to you as a company when, especially when you're getting up and going, in the market, right?
Yeah. And then from an accreditation standpoint, our company is actually an accredited company. It's Erie's only accredited tree care company in town. What that is the Tree Care Industry Association comes in and audits you every 1 to 3 years, depending on their schedule, and they have the big checklist. You have to meet all their guidelines to stay within, this certification and be able to use that for promotional gain, get you into certain categories of work for the state, the government, so on and so forth. So it's a nice. It's also nice to have as well.
Yeah,
keeps you on point.
I'm sure. Well, congratulations to you with a lot of those things, because I'm sure it's not easy going through getting audited by an organization like that. Yeah,
it's just like any other business, I guess. So, but it's like I said, it keeps you on your toes, and it's good.
Yeah, certainly. That's really cool. What have you found outside of what we talked about so far? But what have you found what were some of the biggest challenges in the early years of starting your own company?
Probably like the business side of it, just understanding more of the business acumen and the business relations and accounting and all that fun stuff that, I'm just more, let's go get the job done, and I'm that guy out in the field and sales. Right. That's where I thrive. It was never my big strong suit, was the back end. So I had a lot of support and help on that, on the back end, for a lot of years. And, without them, I wouldn't be, here today either. So.
Yeah. So if there's people listening to the podcast right now that they want to start their own business, but they're like you. Yeah. They're like doers and they love to just go do the tasks. They're not so much focused on the business. Is there like advice you would give them in regards to what to do that you learned along the way?
Sure. I would definitely take the time to go to the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center. That was very integral in my, learning that side of things. Yeah. Especially just from a beginner standpoint, right? And anyone that you may have a friend or anyone that's in that business side of things, that's huge. Getting your book straight, get the business side is integral.
Yeah. Being able, and you've mentioned a couple times, having mentors, right? Yeah. People that can really help guide you. I'm sure that helped out.
It does. Yeah. It really, really does.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of mentorship, regardless of your industry.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Just don't be shy to it. If you don't know, it's okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's okay not to know, and it's okay to hear no, too. So, just don't be afraid to reach out and use what you have around you to support you.
Cool. This one is less specific to your industry, but more of a general question. How do you define success? And it's not just specific to business, but I guess just in life, just a question, just general. But how do you kind of define success, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess there's so many ways you can
answer that. I know.
But that's okay. Success to me is, being in your community and being able to help your community, being able to work within your community is huge. I'm not originally from Erie. I mean, I've been here almost my whole life, but I consider Erie my hometown, and Erie's given me way more than I've given them in a sense, and I can't be happier, for that. Yeah. So I really think a strong sense of community, being involved in your community, it goes a long way.
And I'm sure it feels good to do jobs for people that you have connections with. Yeah. And Erie's so connected.
They are.
And you mentioned doing a job for Father Larry. And, before we were recording, we talked about a mutual connection we have, and you did a job for them. I'm sure it feels good to have that sense of helping out one another, to your point of the community aspect.
We were walking down the halls and someone's like, I know you did True. It's like, yeah, I did. That's awesome. Thank you for your business. That happens often and stuff. So it's good. And, you hear a lot of stories. You hear a lot of people's, projects and why they're doing what they're doing and why they have you in the project. It's neat to hear what all these different creative things are going on and happening and developments, and people trying to save historic trees is huge. We get involved in those kind of things. So it's fun. It's fun to be involved.
So a lot of cool projects that you've mentioned you've been a part of and things that you've been working on as a company. What's been some of the most rewarding parts of owning your own company and the work you do?
Honestly, seeing a lot of my employees that have been with me a long time develop into who they are today and be a part of us, I really enjoy my guys. I really enjoy the camaraderie of our company, and we can't be us without them. And I have guys that have been with me, I guess this year 15 years. I've guys that give me 10 years, 8 years, 9, 12 years. So in our industry, there's a lot of turnover. We do have turnover, but we don't have a lot. And I'm very blessed in that way to keep the people and continue to have them with us and build what we're doing and believe in what we're doing, which is cool.
That's cool. It says a lot about you and your leadership.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for people to be sticking around with you for that length of time. Yeah. They obviously like what you're doing. Yeah. But then also with the type of work you do, you already talked about all the safety stuff you go over. Yeah. I'm sure they feel safe doing what they do because of the extensive training and things you go over. So
Yeah, we have training officers and things like that take that off my hands now, which is nice, and they run with it and they keep it going in the field. And, so it's good. It's good to have them.
That's cool.
It really is.
So with all the knowledge you have for your industry and all the things you've done, what are things that people are listening to this episode right now, important things that we should know about tree care and maintenance and just little tips for us as homeowners and things with our own trees?
Yeah, absolutely. So, an assessment goes a long way, is what I like to say. For me to come to your house and just walk with you for 15 minutes to an hour, it doesn't cost you anything. But it's nice to have someone. When I say someone, I would recommend a certified arborist. It doesn't have to be me, but if you're looking for someone to give you a true assessment, make sure it's an arborist. There's a lot of guys out there that don't know. They know, but they don't know.
Yeah.
And having the arborist, education behind you goes a long way. So when I say that, you may think your trees are perfectly fine, and I walk up and I'm like, oh wow, I'm surprised that hasn't fallen in your house yet, and here's why, right? So not only are we looking at it from a aesthetic point of view, we're looking at it from a structural point of view and a liability, essentially.
Right.
What we call tree risk assessment, right? So, just because you have me over doesn't mean that we're gonna, have to spend a bunch of money, but we could come up with a good plan, for the next 5 to 10 years and make sure you're on the right path. Make sure you're not having a liability to your home, your common areas, your children playing in the yards, things of that nature.
Yeah.
A small prune job now at a young tree can help development 15, 20, 25, 30 years down the road from a safety and structural standpoint.
Yeah. Well, that's really nice. That's kind of like just a value you provide potential customers, non-customers, current customers, to be able to do those assessments.
Yep, absolutely. And that's where we get to know each other. We get to find out, you might have a 10-year goal to do whatever on your property, and hey, your trees may play a part in that, and here's how they can play.
Right.
And like I said, everyone's got a plan.
Yeah.
You just got to find out what it is and help them work through it. So.
That's right. And I'm sure you've probably seen some interesting plans too.
Oh yeah. Yep. Sure.
So what's next for you guys as a company? Are there any big goals or projects on the horizon? What's the future hold for you guys?
I wouldn't say any big goals per se.
Yeah.
We just like doing what we do, and we just want to keep on trucking along. And just be here for the community and help them in any which way, shape we can, and keep doing what we do.
Yeah, that's great. And I know you guys have been good partners of ours here at Prep too. I started working with you back in 2017 when I first was at the event center.
Sure.
You guys started sponsoring out there and having your sign and banners there, which we appreciate. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's cool. I mean, this is 2025 now, and you guys have been committed to that program every year since then.
Yes, sir.
You just donated to our Legacy Gala certificate for tree care service, and it's great to see you giving back to the school too, and thank you for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
You were talking earlier about the importance of community, and I guess can you talk to us about why you've committed to supporting the school for the last handful of years now with like the event center project that we've been working on, but why it's important for you to give back to places like Prep and others that you support.
I believe in what Prep does, and I continue to do so, and our family does as well. And I think it's just a good thing to be involved in. And, there's nothing bad that can, I guess, come of supporting your local, alma mater and high school. And
that's right.
And just trying to be involved any way you can. You only have so many, this is my way, I guess, of being involved, because I don't have necessarily the time to be involved, but this is my way of giving back.
Yeah.
And, again, working with the community.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you were talking earlier about how much the camaraderie from your time at Prep meant to you and how influential that was. When you think about your time at Prep, how did some of those things help turn you into the man that you've become today?
Oh, man.
I know.
Another loaded question of sorts.
I know. Hey, Tony Parsons, we were walking through the hall, and he warned you. He said, hey, Jimmy's going to get you with some of these questions.
It's hard to pinpoint exactly, but just going through the experience itself and the lessons learned, the things you did that maybe you shouldn't have done and learned from, and the things that you did do that were great. And it just, in a general, to answer this question generally, it was just all around, it just really, it molds people. And I've seen it help multiple of kids and, that go through the school. And, where they started and where they ended, and
yeah,
you know, it's a good program, and it's good to be involved.
And it's neat to see because, you know, part of my tagline with the podcast is standard of excellence is what we're sharing on the podcast, and from our alumni who are out there doing great things. And you can hear how you conduct your company is in line with that standard of excellence, right? The things that you're doing in terms of taking care of your people, taking care of customers, the way you're running your business. It's great to see, you know, the success you've had. It's no surprise. Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Any other general just advice for our listeners? You know, if there's, you know, we kind of talked earlier about if somebody wanted to start their own business, kind of advice on, you know, kind of specific stuff. But, you know, kind of our podcast listeners or young professionals, people looking to strive and grow in their career. You being a leader of a company, what sort of advice would you give for people who are looking to grow within the company they're working at, things that they can do to excel in their career?
Just don't be afraid, you know. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to learn, you know.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to take that next step, you know.
Yeah.
You know, when you sit back and you look at my days of, you know, what am I going to do with my life, and you know, I kind of knew I wanted to go this route, and it was just, you just had to do it. If you didn't do it, you weren't, you know, you had to just have no fear. You had to jump into it, and you just had to go. And just no fear, just go for it, man.
Yeah.
You just got to go for it.
Love it.
If you don't, you know, you'll regret it.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
You know, again, you know, if you fail, it's okay. Just pick back up and start again, right? So.
And that's probably one of the toughest things for people to really get over that hump is if you do fail or if you do hear no and you do hear those things, don't let that fear of getting to that stop you from trying.
There's a lot of fears and fails in business every day. There, you know, you hear people say this, that, you know, you learn something new every day. That's no joke. You really do. And it still happens 20 years later. You know? So don't be closed-minded and pay attention, and you'll be all right. You know, so.
And I'm sure in an industry like yours, it's constantly evolving, right? You got to pay attention to law and regulations and things that are changing.
New equipment, new safeties, you know, new safety equipment, this, that, the next thing. I mean, there's always something coming up.
Right.
You know, the world's evolving, right?
Yep.
In all sorts of ways. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Earlier, talk about the free tree evaluation or the having you out there. How can people get a hold of you if they want to take advantage of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can obviously go to our website, jthomastreeservice.com. You can obviously call into the office and talk to my lovely wife at 814-882-5111. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Facebook. You know, just look for our big trucks running around. Grab one of my guys and ask them. You know, they'll point in the right direction. You know?
That's right. I always see J. Thomas Tree trucks around, and it looks like you guys are busy and doing great work. Yeah. So we're recording this episode in late February. It's going to come out in March. Is this when the season starts to ramp up for you guys?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely does. Yeah, springtime is our time. We're getting ready right now to rock and roll. So
that's cool.
We're getting itchy. It's been a long winter this winter.
Yeah, it really has been for all of us.
It really has been.
Yeah, we got hit with that snow right after Thanksgiving, and then it has not gone away.
It really hasn't. This is the longest winter we've had in about 4 or 5 years now, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get back at it.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. And I got one last bonus question for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now this is a fun one. I ask every alum who comes on as a guest this question, just kind of consistency's sake. But if you could go back in time and speak to yourself when you were a student at Prep and give yourself advice, what would that be? Another loaded question, but a fun one.
You know, I think I go back to what I was stating earlier. Is just don't be afraid to jump in. You know, and
yeah.
You know, I'll be the first one to admit I was not the greatest student, and maybe I wish I would have been a better student. You know, so I probably should have taken better advantage of some of that then. But you know, it's all about life experiences as well and what you learn out in the world. And you know, I think you take what you learn here and what you learn in the world, and you know, I think it all combines to be a good thing. And
yeah,
you know, I think if I go back and just tell myself, you know, just pay a little bit more attention to school and have an open mind, you know, and just you know, and have fun with it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's probably stuff all of us could have done a better job.
Yeah, sure. One way or another, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But I wouldn't give it away for anything. So I mean, I'm definitely embedded in my life, and I was happy to be a part of it here. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, it's been fun having you on the podcast. It's been fun having you over at the school doing the tour.
Yeah.
It's fun showing you all the spots and kind of talking to you about how school life is nowadays for the kids.
Yeah. I really appreciate it. It was an awesome experience to come here today. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And thank you for the work you're doing in our community and taking it so seriously and professionally and the great stuff you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Jake.
Appreciate it.